it was a Channel 5 investigation as to the state of the Sussex's finances. Now, we know they didn't move to a 2-bedroom cottage somewhere in the middle of nowhere. They're living in quite a large mansion in Montecito.
It's one long rendition of all their greatest whinges and a load of self-congratulatory nonsense. Harry and Meghan sold their royal souls to become reality TV stars.
It was supposed to be a quiet launch, just a pretty bottle of blush rosé, dropped with minimal fanfare under Meghan Markle's lifestyle label, as ever. But the date it went live wasn't just any date, it was July 1st, Princess Diana's birthday, and that changed everything. Because in a single post, Meghan managed to turn a product launch into a full-blown controversy. Was it a tribute or a tone-deaf attempt to hijack a legacy? And once people started peeling back the label, literally and figuratively, the truth bubbling beneath the surface wasn't just awkward, it was explosive. The internet exploded with commentary, and what should have been a simple moment of brand expansion turned into a cultural minefield. Meghan Markle's as ever brand didn't arrive with a bang. It floated in, soft and dreamy.
Their latest Let's Have Our Privacy exhibit, Exhibit A, would appear to be a rather interesting video, which I'm going to show you now. This is Harry and Meghan dancing in a maternity ward.
Earth tones, filtered garden shots, elegant captions about slow living, and intentional choices. It was marketed as an antidote to chaos, a handcrafted lifestyle rooted in authenticity and purpose. Meghan, the Duchess-turned-entrepreneur, wasn't just selling products, she was selling a feeling. Each item, jam jars, linen aprons, and now this wine, came wrapped in a story. Not mass-produced, not corporate, but personal. Made with care, made with her. At least that's what the branding whispered. For many, it was a refreshing contrast to sterile commercialism. And for a while, it worked. The press was soft. The fans were intrigued. The aesthetic? Impeccable.
Nobody set out to destroy you. You destroyed yourselves in this country with your ludicrous, hypocritical behavior. Truth be told, what she just said is complete and utter garbage. Yeah, what has he done with this Netflix series? He's used his mother to sell it. Could there be a more grotesque exploitation or a more hypocritical one?
But then came July 1st, the day the fantasy started to crack, and people started to question what was behind the curtain. The choice of July 1st wasn't random. It was the birthday of Princess Diana, the woman who had shaped Harry's life and inspired countless tributes across the world. And Meghan's decision to drop a bottle of wine on that date? It didn't sit well. Not with royal watchers, not with former supporters, not even with casual onlookers who understood the symbolism. Because Diana didn't just die tragically, she died in a crash involving a drunk driver. So when Meghan launched alcohol on her birthday, the optics weren't just bad, they were gut-wrenching. It felt more than careless. It felt engineered, perhaps even exploitative. The backlash was swift. Commentators called it callous. Critics called it calculated. Even once loyal fans were left asking, what was she thinking? Was this really a tribute or a PR move cloaked in sentiment? And then the story took another turn. It wasn't just the timing that raised eyebrows. It was the product itself. Because despite the glowing descriptions, California grown, handcrafted, personally selected, the rosé wasn't Meghan's creation.
Meghan Markle in allegedly a labor and delivery room with her loser of a husband, pregnant and twerking to allegedly induce labor. I saw this and I sent an emergency 911 text to Kinsey.
Documents from the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau revealed the wine was made and bottled by the Kundi family winery, operating under a company called Adair Nude LLC. Meghan hadn't crushed a single grape. She hadn't fermented, blended, or bottled the wine. What she'd done was slap her label on a pre-existing product and sold it as her own. The curated story about ritual and personal taste became just that, a story. That's called private labeling, and it's not illegal. But the way it was marketed, that's where things got messy. Because Meghan didn't present this as a partnership or a curated collaboration. She sold it like it was born from her hands, her taste, her vision. The illusion was everything. A lifestyle rooted in intentionality, built on trust. But once the illusion cracked, it wasn't just the wine in question, it was the entire brand.
Who is guiding this man from this vicious woman? Because she is vicious. You know, it's all about her. She'll do whatever she can to get what she wants. And Harry, you know, whatever.
The trust, once lost, was hard to recover and even harder to justify. People started digging. And what they found turned whispers into a roar. The jam jars, outsourced, the tea blends, identical to mass market wholesalers, the honey and apricot spreads, traced back to mainstream distributors. Meghan's as ever wasn't the dreamy Montecito cottage industry it appeared to be. It was a well-dressed shell, a brand built on borrowed products, repackaged stories, and one woman's ability to make it all feel authentic. Until now. It wasn't artisanal, it was aesthetic. And fans began to feel not just disappointed, but deceived. The betrayal hit hardest with the fans who had believed in her vision. They didn't expect perfection, but they expected truth. And the rosé launch shattered that expectation. Because if the wine wasn't hers and if the date was deliberate, what did that say about the entire brand? About Meghan herself? The answers weren't comforting. And then, while the backlash was boiling over,
And then we've got the twerking video. So we're going to take a look at this together.
Back to back.
Back to back.
I mean, if they're looking at that and think this is clever,
Yeah.
I mean, are they stupid or what?
Well, I think
Because
they
I just
are.
think
Prince Harry stepped into the spotlight. His appearance wasn't just poorly timed, it felt eerily disconnected from reality. It was a high-ticket event in New York, the Nexus Global Summit, a gathering of billionaires, philanthropists, and corporate leaders. Harry was paid $500,000 to speak. It was supposed to be a powerful moment, a return to form. But instead, what the world saw was confusion. The longer we are on planet Earth, the more experience we have. That's a real quote. Delivered to a room full of paying guests. What followed was a series of vague, robotic phrases about trauma, online harm, and Meghan being the most trolled person in the world. It didn't inspire. It didn't go viral. It didn't even feel sincere. It felt like a man going through the motions. And for many, it showed a royal adrift, lost in a message no longer landing. And for many watching, it wasn't just disappointing, it was concerning.
Okay. For those of you who are listening, that was the cartoon Meghan and Harry holding their placards, their protesting signs saying, "We want privacy, we want privacy," okay?
Harry looked drained, disconnected, as if the foundation he'd built with Meghan, this new life, this brand, this mission, was starting to crack beneath him too. The speech landed with a thud. No buzz, no excitement, just another headline in a slow spiral downward. Even the most forgiving viewers were left wondering, if this is the messaging they're investing in, what exactly are they trying to say? Meanwhile, back in California, Meghan was silent. No follow-up posts, no press interviews, no charity tie-ins. The wine launched with one photo, one caption, and then nothing. And that silence said more than any PR spin ever could. Because this wasn't just a launch gone wrong. It was a brand unraveling in real time. In an era where authenticity is currency, that kind of silence is deafening. Industry insiders began whispering that the As Ever team was shrinking, that PR firms were backing away, that logistics were slowing. No red carpets, no influencer pushes, no curated appearances, just one photo. And a growing sense that Meghan's lifestyle empire was slipping through her fingers. A quiet retreat in a moment that demanded clarity. A brand fading instead of fighting back. The problem wasn't the wine. It wasn't even the label. It was the trust. Meghan had built an empire on the idea of authenticity, on being real. And now that brand had taken a hit it might not recover from. Because when the image breaks, when the illusion fades, what's left? A woman, a brand, a bottle of wine, and a day she never should have touched.
Because it just looks like it's in such poor taste, and yet she thinks that she's a princess and has the right almost to be HRH, although officially.
The story wasn't just flawed, it had begun to collapse in on itself. But the fallout didn't end there. While Meghan and Harry were sidelined, the elite party of the year was happening in Venice. Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's wedding. Oprah was there. Kris Jenner, Kim Kardashian, every A-lister that Meghan had once hoped to orbit. And she wasn't on the guest list. Not even close. Not even a whisper. Not even a rumor. And that absence spoke volumes. Hollywood, it seemed, had moved on. The Hollywood A-list doesn't need Meghan anymore. Her Netflix buzz is fading. Spotify cut ties. The TIG reboot fizzled. Her Instagram return landed with a dull thud. And this wine? Instead of a reinvention, it felt like a resignation. A final attempt to stay relevant in a world that's quietly moving on. She wasn't left out. She was overlooked. And in the world of celebrity, that's worse. So what's next? A retreat into private life? Another reinvention? Another name? Another brand? The options are few. Because once the audience stops believing, it's hard to get them back. And Meghan didn't just lose momentum. She may have lost the one thing no amount of branding can replace: credibility. Without trust, every new launch becomes a harder sell. Every story less compelling. And at the center of it all is the name she never stops invoking: Diana. Meghan wanted her legacy, her symbolism, her magic. But Diana wasn't an image. She wasn't a brand. She was a woman who bled, cried, and struggled in full view of the world. Meghan tried to bottle that legacy. But what she gave us instead was a product. And that's not a tribute. That's a mistake. You can't borrow a legacy. You have to earn one. And Meghan Markle may have just run out of time to prove she understands the difference. What do you think? Let us know in the comments.